Hi guys, today we're going to make this really cool robot that's interactive in Rive. So we're going to create a bit of an interaction where as you move your mouse, the robot follows the cursor. So I've prepared the robot file. You can download it in the link below. And yes, this is going to be lots of fun. Okay, we've got this little guy here. The first thing I want to do is I want to create the ears because there's a special trick for the ears. This is going to be very cool. So it's going to be this faux 3D ears. So I'm just pressing O for an ellipse and then hold and shift, drag it. Let's make it, we have to be very precise here. So let's make it 30 or let's make it 50 by 50. Or maybe that's a bit big. Let's make it 40 by 40. And then we just give it this color here, this orangey color. Then we duplicate the ellipse, put this one at the bottom, let's call it bottom and top. Now, what I need to do is I need to go to the bottom, add a constraint, scale, and for the scale, I'm just going to choose the top, and it's very simple. All that this one does now is when I scale the top, the bottom scales with it. So that's very straightforward. Okay, and then now I'm just going to scale it to 0. Now I want to move the bottom one away. And all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go -5 on the X position because I want to be precise, because that's going to help us now. We'll see what's going to happen now. So now let me just give it a bit more scale, see what's happening there now. Now we just need to connect these two. First things first, let's take the bottom one and just give it a different color to differentiate the two. And then now we're just going to make a rectangle that sits between these two. So press R for rectangle. And then change the color of the rectangle to this reddish color. And let's just make sure, okay, it's 40 high, which is correct. And then 5 width, which is correct because we moved this other one up 5. So now I must just make sure that it's set between the two of them. So just make sure you've got your what do you call it, your clipping, no, not clipping, you've got snapping features. Now you take this rectangle and you just sandwich it between the two of them. So now we've got our basic ear setup. Select all of them, group them, we'll call this one ear 1, and then duplicate it again. And now we're just going to put this one on top of this one, call it ear 2. Move it up so it sits right on top of that one. And this one, we're going to make the scale smaller, but we're going to do it uniformly. So click this little chain button here to enable uniform scaling for both X and Y axis. Let's go with 75. I think 75 looks good. And then we just need to go into both of them. Select the top for both of them. And let's see what we've got. Oh, yeah. Okay, just unlink that one. Just go into the top of both of them and let's just see what we've got here. If we play with the scale, okay, that's perfect. Except this one should sit on top of that one. Ear 2 should sit on top of ear 1. Let's see if it works now. It should work. Perfect. Okay, now we've got the ear set up. So I'm just going to group it once more. Call this one right ear. Move it to our robot. course, now you can make this whole ear group a bit bigger if you want, but for now I'm just going to keep it like this. I'm going to call this right ear. Then let's put it into the body group here. Just going to delete these two. Duplicate it. Left ear. Move it over to the other side. And minus 100 to mirror it. And that's basically the ears. Now let's start animating. Okay, I've set up a timeline here that's called rotate horizontally because we want to create a timeline for the horizontal rotation and one for the vertical rotation. So let's start with the horizontal one because that's the more complex one. So first things first, let's animate. Let's start with the face. Let's start with the face. I'm going to go to Face Master, go to the middle there, and just put a keyframe on X position and a keyframe on scale X. Then we're going to go over to this side, move it over to round about there, and then put the scale at 60. Now the reason we do this is just to create this 3D effect. As it moves away from the camera, it gets a bit compressed on the X-axis, and that gives it that nice 3D effect. Let me just go over here, and then move it over to that side, and then make it 60 again here. Okay, perfect. That's the face done. Okay, now let's move on to the ears. For the ears, we are going to do something interesting. We're going to add a draw order. Now the way draw order works, it's basically if you activate the draw order, it draws it on top of a selected shape or on the bottom. Okay, you'll see now. Okay, so I've selected the left ear and I've added a draw rule here. We want the draw to be, if you click that button there, then we can say draw order. We want it below the target. Now the target would be head. Now it's very important for the draw rules to use shapes. You can't use groups, then it won't work. So I'm going to use the head. The same with the clip. I forgot to tell you about the clip. This is what I did here for the face. So I added a clip here, and then I used the target. I used this head as well. The actual shape. You can see that little icon there. That's basically a shape. But so you can use that for clips and draw rules. Use shapes, but you can't use groups. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we've got our draw rule set up for the left ear. Let me just put a Y position keyframe in the middle here. While I'm at it, I'm going to just add one for right ear as well. And then now, as the guy looks this way, the ear moves over to this side. We can just make it 0, so it's right in the middle there. And then when he goes to the other side, the ear comes around to the middle as well. So, but now we want to activate the draw rule. So as it goes there, the ear goes behind. So it's very easy. All we need to do is we just toggle them so Rive records a keyframe. Then if you go down here, you can see the draw rule is activated here. That little square, which means it's a hold keyframe. So yeah, it's a square that recorded normal. So normal means no draw rule. So I just go one back and I activate the draw rule. Now you'll see it's supposed to work. Okay, I didn't select the target. Okay, so the target we're going to select for this one would be head. Okay, excellent. So now it's working. Now let's use our fancy trick for the ear to give it some 3D depth. So I select this top here and also the top here. So if you hold on control, you can select both of them. put a keyframe here in the middle, and then go to the end and make it 100 for both of them. So now we've got this. Now this ear is working. Now we just need to do it on the other side. So just pause the video here and do it on the other side. It's good to practice on your own. If you struggle to do it, just watch this part of the ear again, and then you can do it. But the best way to learn is to do something over and over again. Okay, now let's add some movement. As the head turns, the body turns slightly as well. So let's do that quickly. So I'm going to go to left arm. I'm just going to go to the middle and put a Y position on left arm and right arm. And when I'm going to move here, I'm going to move this one over, and then this one back. So now we've got the same problem as previously. And yes, you guessed it, we're going to use another draw rule. So let's add a draw rule to the left arm. I see I've already done that, so we're just going to use that one. And then for the target, let's use the body. So select body there. And then just here, if I select the left arm, I'm going to put a keyframe there. So I just toggled it, and then I go one frame back and activate the draw rule. And now it should work, but it's not working. Why is it not working? It's above target. It should be below target. That's very important to make sure that you below this target. Okay, so it's all logic. So if something doesn't work correctly, there's always a very simple explanation. So then we do the same with the right arm. We go to the other side, we move that one in, and this one we bring here, and then we add another draw rule. I've already got a draw rule below target for the right arm, below target body. Let's see if it works. Just toggle it to activate it. Go forward one frame, activate the draw rule. Yes, it's working. So now this is working quite nicely. So now all we need to do now we just need to add a bit of animation to the body, because if you move the body, it's going to compress. So we just need to add a bit of 3D, simulate 3D animation. So we're going to just animate the scale, go to 100% X in the middle. And then you go to this side, and then let's bring it down. Say to about 80 looks good, yeah. Because it's just a slight rotation of the shoulder. So 80, and then all you do there, the other extreme, 80 again. And now we need to select the circle in the middle here and do the same. So for this one, we're going to have X, and we're also going to have to move the position. Okay, I should be here on frame 30, so I'm just going to move everything up there. And then we go here. This is the first one, make it 80 on the X, and move it so it aligns there with the head. So that's looking cool. And then we do the same on the other side. And then we move it up. So I think this is looking good. So we can see the 3D effect when it rotates. So let's start working on the other rotation, the up and down rotation. So let's create a new timeline and let's call it up down. And we're going to do pretty much the same, but just in a vertical direction. So the first thing, let's go to the go into the head, select the face master and put a keyframe on it. Put a keyframe on the X, on the Y. And then we move it down here. So he's looking down. And then we go up because he's looking up. Now we need to animate this line as well here. So in the middle, put a keyframe, on Y. And then bring it down. And then as he goes up, so this is the up movement. And then now with the ears, the interesting thing with the ears is, I'm just going to select both of them, put a keyframe in the middle on Y. Now the interesting thing with the ears is if the body of the face moves down, the ears move up, they move back. Anything that's behind on the other side of the face, when the face moves, looks down, goes up, things like the ear and the hair and things like that, and then the others, and then vice versa. So if as the head looks up, the ears go down. So it creates this sort of movement. Now we just need to add an animation to the antenna as well. So in the middle, we just add an X, and for this one we're also going to use a draw rule. So this one is set above target. You'll see why. So I've just selected the head here. So let me just toggle it in the middle. And when the head moves down, we want the antenna to be in the front. So I'm going to activate the draw rule, and now it's going to put that in the front. And then I move it as he looks down, the antenna moves down. So the antenna moves down because it's on the same plane as the face. And then as he looks up, he moves down. So this is what we've got. I think this is looking cool. So now let's add some interactivity to this. So go back to design mode. And now press G for group. And you can just center it. Change the group type style to a target and call this one pointer move. And then we need to create two joysticks, one going this direction and one going that direction. So let's do that quickly. So you can press J for joystick, create one there, and then J again. So we've got two joysticks. The one joystick's going to utilize the rotational or the horizontal movement, and the other one's going to utilize the vertical movement. So let's set this up. So the way to do that is to select the joystick, and there on the right in the inspector we go to X-axis and we choose rotate horizontally. And while we're here, let's just make the size 500, and then we're going to go to the other one, and you guessed it, in the Y-axis we're going to put up down and make it 500. So just move it off the artboard. Okay, now what we need now we need a handle source for each one of them. And that's easy. Just press G, click here, and create another target. Change this to target. Let's maybe just use a triangle to differentiate them, and call this horizontal joy, and then do the same here. Another target, and call this one vertical joy. Okay, and now go to your joystick, and then for handle source, choose horizontal here, and then for the vertical one, you guessed it, handle source vertical. So now these targets are following the joystick, but we need to align these targets so they follow our main target, which is the pointer move. And the way we set that up is we go to horizontal joystick and we add a constraint. We add a translation constraint. Click this here and use the offset. That's very important that you check the offset button, and then the target would be pointer move. And then you do the same for the vertical. So select it, constraint, translation constraint, enable offset, target, pointer move. So that's the first part of the setup. Now we need to tell Rive that whenever we interact with our mouse, the pointer should align. So the first thing we do is we need a hitbox. So I'm just going to go R for rectangle, create a hitbox, make it same as the artboard size, 500 by 500. Center it. I'm just going to put it here at the bottom. And then we just go here and click the little eye so it's not visible. Now we go into animate mode. We go into the state machine. And with the hitbox selected, let me just change the name to hitbox. With that selected, we add a listener. And here we want pointer move. So basically when your cursor moves on the artboard. And then what we want here for the input, click plus here and we type in align target. So the pointer is going to align to the target. And the target in this case would be the pointer move. So this is basically, this is the setup done. So you can see it works perfectly, but there's one little mistake. If I go up here, the head moves up. And if I move down, it's inverted. So how do we fix that? Do we have to go into the up, down and reverse everything? No, there's a much easier solution. We go back into design. We select the joystick, the vertical joystick, and this button here, it says invert, we just click that. And now we would be good to go. So this is the basic animation done. But we can make it a bit nicer if we add some more animation, because now we've got complete control over the robot. But it would be nice if the robot's got a bit of his own personality as well. So we're just sort of guiding it where to go. So that's what we're going to work on now. We're going to create an idle state. Okay, let's create the idle animation. So go to the timeline, new animation. Cool, idle. I'm just going to have our robot just standing around looking cool. 500 for the duration, so that gives us 5 seconds. We want it to loop. And let's go to second 2. Also enable work area. And then we go to second 3. And we drag it here. So now this is our work area. So let's start with the animation. Good. First thing I'm gonna animate his hips. I'm gonna go into the body. So I'll put the body's anchor point at the bottom, so we can rotate that there. So I'm just gonna make it subtle, 5%. I don't want it too extreme. And then we go to the middle. You can see if it says 30 here, that you're in the middle, and then we just go -5 and go to the end and copy this keyframe. Just give it cubic interpolation. Okay, and that's what we've got so far. Now let's work on let's animate the head. So I'm going to twirl down body, and then here where I see head, I'm going to do the same, 5%, and then the middle, -5, and here just cubic interpolation. So that's what we've got now, but we can make it look much better. There's a much better way of doing this, but I'm going to show you now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to animate the antenna as well. So here's our bones here. The antenna is bound here. So I'm just control click, and then you can select the bones. So we're just going to, let's scoot it over here. And then we go to the middle, and it goes to the other side. And then we close the loop. So this is what we've got for the antenna. It's looking a bit boring at the moment, but there's method in my madness. Just stick with me. We're going to see, we're going to create something magical now. This one, let's move it a bit here. And as it goes to the other side, bring it over there. And then copy that first one, cubic interpolation. And then we do the same for the last one. Go to the middle, bring it over there, and then we close the loop and give it cubic interpolation. Go click on the artboard, press F to frame it. So this is what we've got. It's not looking bad, but we can make it look much more dynamic by using something that's called overlapping motion. It's a design principle or animation principle where we offset the animation, because nothing animates exactly the same time. So basically everything starts from the hips, and then there's a bit of a delay between the hips and the head, and then there's even a bigger delay on the antenna. So we go to the end of the animation cycle, we just select all of them, copy them, paste them. Now we've got 2 loops, and we go to the beginning, and we just bring them over here. Now we want to create a delay. So let's start with the head. So I'm going to select all of the keyframes, the head, and then all the antenna keyframes, and move them forward, let's say 3 or 4 frames. Now you can see it's already starting to get much more personality. And then let's do the same on the antenna, because we take the 3 antenna bones, let's offset them from the head, so move them forward a few frames. The longer the delay, the more floppy it looks usually. So we don't want it too floppy, because it's not a feather, it's more like a metal thingy. So I've offset I've offset the antenna to the head now. Now I'm taking the next 2 bones in the chain, and I'm offsetting them to the first one, and then the last one I offset even more. So now this is what we've got, and I think this looks really, really cool. So you can see what we've got here. Now let's animate the arms, because the arms are a bit stiff. So with the arms, I'm going to use the same principle. I'm going to go here to the beginning. I'm going to take the left arm, just twirl into it where it says shoulder. You can see the anchor points there in the middle. And I'm just going to rotate it up slightly, and then in the middle we can see this body as our visual guide for where the middle is. When it's in the middle, I'm going to bring it over here, and then when it's at the end of the loop, I'm just going to copy this one. And then now we can do the same with the forearm. Let's bring this one out slightly. I'm going to be quite subtle with the arms, and then bring this one in. And then give it cubic interpolation, both of them. Let's animate the hands as well. This hand, just rotating it slightly. And then I'll bring it in. And this is the arm animation, but we want it to look a bit more floppy, and so it fits with the other part of the animation. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to copy all of them. And then we just play with the offset. That's the best way to do it. And just get creative with it. Maybe for this one, let's start maybe around about here, and add a big, let's add a big offset between the shoulders and the forearms and see what that looks like. That's looking cool. And then with an offset between the hand and the forearm as well. And then now just do the same to the other hand. You can just do, or the other arm. Just have fun. And you can even offset the other arm so it starts a bit earlier, so they don't all start at the same time. That's a cool thing with animation, is you don't want things to be in unison too much, because that's boring. Okay, so now I've gone ahead and finished this little animation here of the guy, the idle animation. And if you go to the state machine, make sure that the idle animation is set here. And then if you press play, we've got this really cool animation of a little robot. Now let's just add one more thing. Let's add an eye blink. So I've added a new timeline. Make it about 2 seconds, loop it, call it blink. Then what I did here is I took the left eye and I added a scale constraint targeting the right eye. So basically now we only need to animate the right eye. So I'm going to show you another cool animation trick. So on the Y, put a keyframe here on the scale. Then you go forward 5. Let me just zoom in a bit. Make it a bit bigger. Say 110. So this is called anticipation. Before the eyes close, they get a bit bigger. This principle in animation works like that. So before we do an action, we do the opposite action. It's the same as someone punching someone. Before they strike the punch, they load the punch. So you can see what's going to happen. This is just very subtle. So it happens very quickly. And then we go 10 frames forward and we bring it down to, let's say, 20%. Close the eyes, and then we go to 30 and we go to the 110. So this is yet another animation principle. This is overshoot. So the eyes open up very wide and then they settle back into the original position. And if we put cubic interpolation on that, you can see that looks really nice. It's much better than a normal, just a bit more dynamic. I'm just going to move this one so he opens it quicker, and then maybe move this one up a bit. Just play a bit with the timing. You can see it's something that you feel rather than see, but it just makes it a bit nicer. So basically, just to recap here, what I've done here is the eyes grow bigger a bit. So that's the anticipation that they're going to close, moves in the opposite direction. They close. They open, but they overshoot, and then they settle into the original position. And then all we need to do now is go to the state machine, add a new layer, and add the blink there. And go to the artboard, press F, and that's it. We've done something really cool today. I hope you enjoyed this one.